Putin has tested boundaries with Europe time and time again over many years, and we haven't really pushed back. And maybe Trump's aggrieved at the fact that, from his point of view, he's just doing what Putin's doing, testing us, and Europe is saying no to him. He's like, what the hell, man? You didn't say no to Putin, but you're saying no to me. So maybe he's aggrieved for that reason as well.
Yeah, because historically, over the last 20 years at least, we've always just gone along with America. We've never criticised. We've never held them to any moral standards. We've just nodded along like what was the joke that we were like the little puppy. And all of a sudden they say, well, hold on a minute. The puppy's not supposed to bark. Then they're trying. And I agree. I think he's probably was expecting to. He doesn't like people standing up to him, and he's not used to it. But it looks like it works.
We know it works because people from his first term who are close to Trump do say, don't antagonize him in public because he's too thin-skinned, right? But you have to stand up to him because he respects strength. So the strategy has been, despite the fact, I've heard people sort of saying that European leaders, UK leader has been appeasing Trump. There's been no appeasement of Trump in this second term at all. Appeasement is when you give him. I mean, appeasement was Neville Chamberlain letting Hitler have Hungary. That's appeasement. It's like, okay, I want this thing. All right, then. We haven't done that on anything. Not a thing. But publicly, we have flattered the hell out of him. But that's not appeasement. That is exactly what we're told you need to do with Trump. In public, you have to butter him up. You have to build him up because his ego is far too fragile for any knock. But behind closed doors, you have to show you've got an edge to you. You have to bare your teeth to him. You have to basically say to him, we can make you look really good, but if you do this, we can't accept that, and you're going to end up looking like a right tit. That is clearly what's happening behind closed doors.
Do you think there's an element of the fact that we have genuinely, when push comes to shove, learnt the lessons of 2 world wars? And that is, you just gave the example of appeasement under Neville Chamberlain. When it looks like somebody like Trump, who is this authoritarian leader who displays a lot of what you can consider to be the hallmarks of fascism, starts talking in real terms about seizing land and taking and invading, we all of a sudden, our ears do prick up because we have, learned experience of this, and we've been there, we've done it, and we know the horrors of this sort of, when we see these signs.
I think some politicians are better at learning from history than others, but you're right. Yes, we know that Trump cannot be trusted to keep his word. He was saying yesterday, all he wants is a piece of ice in return for world protection. Someone should have just, tossed him a whiskey on the rocks. But nonetheless, we know that's not true. We know that's not true. He's the one who personally, it's not just that he doesn't even honor agreements that the United States has made. He doesn't honor his own agreements. Canada knows that. He's the one who personally negotiated the trade agreement with Canada during his first term. He signed it and everything. And then he instantly tore it apart, or attempted to, last year. So he doesn't honor his own agreements. So the idea that he would stop at Greenland is a nonsense. He will want more and more and more, and he will take more and more and more. So yeah, behind closed doors, we're clearly, and we know we're saying no to him on lots of things because we haven't given him anything. We gave him a free slap-up dinner at the Palace, right? Well, was it? I can't even remember if it was Buckingham Palace or Balmoral, but we invited him over here for dinner. Yeah. He had dinner. We're quite happy to butter him up in public. That's not giving him anything. What does he want from us? What he wants is for us to allow, he wants us to abolish our free speech law, hate speech laws. We're not doing that. He wants us to lower our standards to allow in poorer quality American agricultural products. We're not doing that. He wanted us to stand aside while he takes Greenland. We haven't done that. So we haven't actually given him anything he wants that's not in our interests. So we haven't appeased him on anything. It's just publicly we're bowing and scraping a bit, but that's nothing. That costs us nothing.
Do you think there's a risk with somebody like Trump that he worries that he's becoming a little bit of a laughing stock, that he's a busted flush, people aren't taking him seriously, his simple way of bullying people when he comes up against intelligence and organisation doesn't work, And do you think there is a risk that at some point, essentially, this baby has a tantrum and does something, lashes out essentially out of frustration, and it could have really dangerous, catastrophic
Um,
consequences?
Potentially, it depends on those around. We know those around him are sort of egging him on to a certain extent, but there'll also be a lot of coordination with Republicans in Congress. Now, something interesting that occurred when he started going on about the Chagos Islands deal. Again, he was trying to humiliate Starmer because Starmer is one of the leaders who say, no, you can't have Greenland. And I thought it was just that, but it turns out Kemi Badenoch sort of put him up to that. Kemi Badenoch went off to talk to Mike Johnson, a Republican in Congress, senior Republican in Congress. And she brought up a couple of issues, and one of them was the Chagos Islands issue. Right. So she's basically whispered in Mike Johnson's ear. Mike Johnson has whispered in Trump's ear. And then Trump, lo and behold, goes mad about the Chagos Islands deal, which he
So this
knows,
is
he
Kemi
understands is a
Badenoch.
good deal for him.
So this is Kemi Badenoch purely for her own political career and in the interest of her own party, going against the better interest of the country.
Oh, yeah. Basically egging on a foreign power to attack the UK government. Yes. And the UK national interest.